Hello everybody, Julia here. I hope you're having a great time. I am going to show you how to combine watercolor pencils and watercolor markers today. The products I'm using are from the company Stabilo, S-T-A-B-I-L-O. And they have actually sent me some watercolor pencils to try out. So I'm going to try them out today. And I'm starting out with this image by Stamping Bella. It's my mom's birthday on Monday. Yes, on Monday. It's my mom's birthday on Monday. And she is trying to decide whether or not to treat herself to a card. So I thought this would be the perfect image for her. I really hope she gets the humor. Otherwise, I'll be in so much trouble when I come home for Christmas. I'm starting out by laying down a very, very thin layer of the green pencil, because I just want to have a base layer of color, and I'm coming in with my water. It's a regular brush that I just loaded with water, and I'm activating the pencil, and you can see that I get a really nice light wash of green. That's all that I wanted. I didn't want it to be super intense, just wanted to have a nice light wash. I'm putting down a flesh color on the face of this very active old lady, and then I'm actually using a blender pen. This one is by Stampin' Up, but you can also use the one from Dove, for example, to activate the color. I'm using a blender pen, and I'll continue to use a blender pen on these smaller areas here because it gives me much more control. I'm just, if I would have to color around those circles using a brush, I would just totally color into that area. So I'm using the blender pen. I'm cleaning it off to the side now and then just to make sure I don't have too much color on there. And now that this has dried here, I'm coming back in and adding a new layer of color. And again, I'm using the blender pen to blend this color out. By that time, the body here, the green that I had colored had dried. So I'm coming in with the pencil again and adding color into the areas where there would be shadow. Like assuming that the light source would be from the upper right. It's not completely scientific, I'm just doing how I feel like it's good. And this time I'm using my blender pen to blend out the color. This is simply because I'm not good at keeping control with my with the brush. Like I'm not that good with the brush. So that's the only reason why I'm doing this. And you can see me here also blending out these shadow areas here with the blender pen. And whenever you see the blender pen disappear, I'm actually cleaning it off to the side. Now I'm coming in with my Stabilo markers. I know that some of you have bought them after I've showcased them this summer on Jennifer McGuire's channel. And I want to intensify the color, and the markers are much more intense than the pencils. And why not combine them, right? Nobody says that you can only use one medium on a card. So I'm putting down some orange here in the shadow areas and then using my blender pen to blend this out. And I'm doing the same thing here on the face, using a flesh tone to add some more depth and definition. And then using my blender pen to blend this out. And I was actually surprised how well that worked. Now, of course, I'm going to be doing the same thing here on the rest of the image. And the trick with the Stabilo markers is you shouldn't be waiting too long after you've put them down to activate them, either with the blender pen or with a water brush, because once those pens have dried, you will get streaks when you try to blend them out. So best do this while the ink is still wet. And you can see here how it pays off to at first have a light wash of color on the image and then adding the contrast. It's much easier to blend out if you have a base wash of color. Like if it would be white, you would always be struggling to get a nice gradient from the color to white. But by having the base color already be green, it's much easier to blend out. At least that's what I think. And you can see here the blender pen allows me a lot of control over how far I take the color. And then I'm adding just a little bit color here and there. You have to be careful because if you go in with the blender pen, and I'm doing this on watercolor paper, and the area hasn't dried completely, you can peel the paper quite easily. That happens to me as well all the time. So I've colored in the jacket here with the pencils, just again, put down my base color, and now I'm coming in with the marker and just adding my shadows where for example, the arm is in front of the rest of the body. And again, the blender pen gives me an enormous amount of control of how I blend this out. If you do not have a blender pen, by all means, use a brush. That's the easiest tool you could use. It's probably all of you are much better with the brush than I am. Now I put some color around the little lady here. I mean, I actually used the pencil to put down the blue. And I'm using the Dove blender pen now because it has a wider nib to blend the blue out into the white. It's a very light blue. So I will just get a tiny bit of a halo around the old lady here. I'm stamping a German sentiment, and if you see this black thing in the upper right corner, that's my cat. And you can actually, I think you can see her paw. She's guarding my pencils. I had to let her on the table. She was just making such a ruckus. Anyhow, so I have the sentiment on the front. It says, "So old." And on the inside, it says, "Oh my, how time runs." Like I said, I really hope my mom gets the humor. Otherwise, I think there will be nothing under the Christmas tree for me. That might be difficult. So, yeah, hoping for the best here. I'm adding some glossy accents to the glasses just to give them some reflection. And then, of course, I had to add some dots. I only afterwards realized this might look like she's farting, so I'm just making it worse. I'm so not gonna get anything for Christmas this year, but I'm adding some of the some blank dots around the colored image here simply for some additional contrast and dynamic. That's the only reason. You don't have to do this. It's absolutely not necessary, but I just thought it would be fun. So here's the finished card from the outside, and then we have the rest of the sentiment on the inside. And actually I had really a lot of fun coloring this with the pencils and the markers. You can find all of the supplies that I've used in the video description below. And if you like this video, feel free to subscribe. I'm always happy if you subscribe. I have great videos coming, and I wish you a fantastic day. Catch you again soon. Bye bye.